Hi, PB&J friends. Good morning. Or afternoon. I guess I'm reading my book in the morning to you, but when I post it, it might actually be afternoon. Well, I wanted to say hello to everyone, and I wanted to tell you all that I miss you all so much. I miss seeing you and playing with you. I miss giving you big, huge squeezes. I miss laughing with you. And I cannot wait until we can all see each other again. Today's story is one of my favorite stories. And you know, I've had this book with me in my house and with my children. I've had this book for about 15, maybe about 17 years actually. That is probably older than some of your very big sisters and brothers. Isn't that amazing? Books are so magical that way. Now this book is called Little Tricker, the Squirrel Meets Big Double the Bear. It's a book written by Ken Casey and illustrated by Barry Moser. It's one of my favorite books to read, and it's a very tricky book to read. Let's see if I can do it. Little Tricker the Squirrel meets Big Double the Bear. Whoopsie. See? Oh boy, this book is so old that some of the pages are coming out. Okay, friends, are you ready? Don't tell me you're the only youngsters never heard tell of the time the bear came to Tropple's Bottom. He was a huge, high country bear, and not only huge, but horrible huge. And hairy, and hateful, and hungry. Why, he almost ate up the entire bottom before Tricker finally cut him down to size. Just you listen and see if he didn't. It was a fine fall morning, early and cold and sweet as cider. Down in the bottom, the only one up and about was old Papa's son, and him just barely. Hanging in the low limbs of the crabapple trees was still some of those strings of daybreak fog called haint hair, by them that believes in such. The night shifts and the day shifts were shifting very slow. The crickets hadn't put away their fiddles, and the spiders hadn't shook the dew out of their webs yet. The birds hadn't quite woke up, and the bats hadn't quite gone to sleep. Nothing was amove except for one finger of sun slipping soft up the knobby trunk of the hazel. It was one of the prettiest times of the day at one of the prettiest times of the year, and all the bottom folk were content to let it come quiet and slow and savory. Tricker the squirrel was awake, but he wasn't about. He was lazing in the highest hole in his cottonwood high-rise, with just his nose poking out from his pillow of a tail, dreaming about flying. Every now and again he would twinkle one bright eye out through his dream and his puffy pillow hair to check the hazel tree way down below to see if any of the nuts were ready for the reaping. He had to admit they were all pretty near prime. All day yesterday he had watched those nuts turning softly browner and browner, and come sundown had judged them just one day short of perfect. And that means if I don't get them today, tomorrow, they're very apt to be just one day past perfect. So he was promising himself, just as quick as the sunbeam touches the first hazelnut, I'll get right on the job. And then after a couple of winks, just as quick as the sunbeam touches the second hazelnut, I'll zip right down with my tote sack and go to gathering, and so forth, merely dozing and dallying and savoring the sweet, still air. The hazelnuts get browner. The sunbeam inches silently on to the 15th, the 20th, but the morning was simply so pretty. and the air hanging so dreamy. And still, he hated to break the peace. Well then, the finger just about touches the 27th hazelnut when a holy dad blame gosh almighty roar came kabooming through the bottom, like a freight drove by the devil himself, or at least his next hottest hollerer. And what a roar! Oh, oh, oh! And not just loud and long, but high and low and chilling and fiery all to once. The haint hair and the spider's web still froze stiff, all froze stiff. It was that chilling. Whilst the springs boiled dry and the crab apples burned black from the hell heat of it, even way up in Tricker's tall, tall tree, the cottonwood leaves turned brown and looked ready to fall still weeks before their time. Moreover, the roar had startled Tricker out of his snooze so sudden that he stuck startled halfway between the ceiling and the floor, and hung there petrified, spraddle-eagled, spellbound, stiff in midair, with his eyes big as biscuits and every hair stabbing straight out of him like quills on a puffed porcupine. What in the name of 60 cyclones was that? He asked himself in a quakering voice. A dream gone nightmare? He pinches his nose to cheek. The spellbind bursts and Tricker drops hard to the floor. Bump. He puzzles, rubbing his nose and his knees. It is like a dream with a little nightmare noise thrown in, like a plain old floating and flying dream, except when you get real bumps, it must be a real floor. And right then it cut loose again. Roar! Shaking the cottonwood from root to crown till a critter could hardly stand. Tricker crawls cautious across the floor on his sore knees and very cautiously sticks his sore nose out, and very, very cautiously cranes over to look down into the clearing below. Again, I say roar! The sound made Tricker's ears ring and his blood curdle, and the sight he saw made him wonder if he was still dreaming, bumps or no. I'm big double from the high wild ridges, and I'm double big, and I'm double bad, and I'm double hungry. Roar! It was a bear, a grizzly bear, so big and hairy and horrible that it looked like the two biggest, baddest bears in the Ozarks had teamed up to make one. Again, I says hungry. And I don't mean lunchtime, snack time, little time hungry. I mean grumpy, grouchy, bedtime, big time hungry. I live big, I sleep big, and when I hit the hay tonight, I got 6 months before breakfast, so I need supper the size of my sleep. I need a big belly full of fuel and a lay-by of fat to fire my full-time furnace and stoke my 6 months snore. A roar! When the bear opened his mouth, his teeth looked like stalactites in a cavern. His tummy rumbled. When his tummy rumbled, it sounded like the thunder in the faraway hills. And when he swung his head around, his eyes looked like a double-barrel shotgun shooting stars. I ate the high hills bare as a bone and the foothills raw as a rock, and now I'm going to eat up the whole bottom and everybody in it, all up. And with that gives another awful roar and raises his paws high above his head, stretching till his toenails strain out like so many shiny hay hooks, then rams down, sinking them claws clean out of sight into the ground, and with an evil snarl, he tears up the very earth wide open, like it was so much wrapping paper on his birthday present. In the sundered earth, there was Charles the woodchuck in his bedroom, split half in two, his bedstand busted beneath him, and his bedspread pulled up to his quivering chin. "Hey, you," Charlie demands in his bravest little voice. "This is my hole." "What are you doing, breaking into my hole? It's my home." "Well, I am Big Double from the High Wild Hollers, son," the bear snarls. "And I'm loading the old larder up for one of my double long winter naps. Well, just you go larding up someplace else, you high hills hollerer." Charlie snarls back. "This ain't your neck of the woods. Son, when I'm hungry, it's all Big Double's neck of the woods. And I am hungry. I ate the high hills raw and the foothills bare, and now I'm going to eat you up." "I'll run," says the woodchuck, glaring his most glittering glare. "I can run too," says the bear, glaring back with a grin that turns poor Charlie's glitter to gloom. Charlie meets the bear's blistering stare for a couple of tricks more, and then out from under the covers he springs, and out across the bottom he tears, ears laid low, tails hoisted high, and little feet hitting the ground 60 steps a second. Fast. But the big old bear with his big old feet merely takes 1, 2, 3 double big steps and takes Charlie over and snags him up and swallers him down. Hair, hide, and wholesale. High up in his hole, Trigger blinks his eyes in amazement. Yep, he has to allow. That big booger really can run. The bear then walks down the hill to the big granite boulder by the creek where Longrellers the rabbit lived. He listens for a moment, his ear to stone, then lifts one of those size 50 feet as high as his big double legs can hoist it, lifted like a huge hairy pile driver, and with one stomp turns Longreller's granite forest into a sand pile all over the rabbit's breakfast table. "Ah, you Ozark clodhopper," Longrellers squeals, trying to dig the sand out of one of his long eels with a wild parsnip. "This is my breakfast, not yours. You got a nerve stomping down here into our bottom, busting up our property and our privacy. This ain't even your stomping grounds. I hate to tell you, cousin, but I am Big Double, and all the ground I stomp on is mine. I ate the high hills bare and the foothills clean. I ate the woodchuck that run, and now I'm going to eat you up." "I'll run," says the rabbit. "I can run too," says the bear. "I'll jump," says the rabbit. "I can jump too," says the bear, grinning and glaring and wiggling his whiskers wickedly at the rabbit. Longrellers wiggles his whiskers back a couple of ticks, and then out across the territory rips the rabbit, a cloud of sand boiling up from his heels like a dust from a motor scooter scooting up a steep dirt road. But then after him comes the bear, like a loaded log train coming down a steeper one. Longrellers is almost to the hedge at the edge of the topple pasture when he gathers his long ears and his elbows under his arm, and he jumps for the brambles, springing up into the ears quick as a quail flushing fast and far. But the big old bear with his big old legs springs after him like a rocket ship roaring, and takes the rabbit over at the peak of his jump and snags him up and swallers him down, ears, elbows, and everything. "Good as his word, the big bum can certainly jump," admits Trickster, watching bug-eyed from his high bedroom window. Next, the bear goes down to where White-Ear Creek is dribbling drowsy by. He grabs the creek by its bank and with one wicked snap, he snaps it like a bedspread. This snaps Sally Snipster the martin clear out of her mud burrow boudoir and her toenail polish, somersetting her into the air over and over, and then lands her hard into the empty creek bed along with stunned mud puppies and minnows. "Ah, you backwoods bully," Sally hisses. "You rich running rowdy. What are you doing down out of your ridges ripping up our rivers? This isn't your play puddle." "Why, ma'am, I am Big Double, and any puddle I please to play in is mine. I ate the ridges raw and the backwoods bald. I ate the woodchuck that run and I ate the rabbit that jumped, and now I'm going to eat you up." "I'll run," says the marten. "I can run too," says the bear. "I'll jump," says the marten. "I can jump too," says the bear. "I'll climb," says the marten. "I can climb too," says the bear, and champs his big yellow choppers in a challenging chomp. Sally clicks back at him with her own little sharp teeth for a tick or two. Click, 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 and then off. She shoots like a bullet out of a pistol, but right after her booms the bear like a meteor out of a cannon. Sally springs out of the creek bed like a silver salmon jumping. The bear jumps after her like a flying shark. She catches the trunk of the cottonwood and climbs like an electric yo-yo, whizzing up a wire. But the bear climbs after her like a jet-propelled elevator up a greasy groove and takes her over, snags her up, and swallers her down. Teeth, toenails, teetotal. And then, it so happens, while the big bear is hugging the tree and licking his lips, he sees that he is eye to eye with a little hole that is none other than the door of the bedroom of Tricker the squirrel. "Yes, sirree, Bob," Tricker has to concede. "You also sure as shootin' can climb." "Who are you?" roars the bear. "I'm Tricker the squirrel, and I saw it all, and there's just no two ways about it. I'm impressed. You may have been a little shortchanged in the thinking department, but when it comes to running, jumping, and climbing, you've got double portions." "And eat," roars the bear. "I'm Big Double, and I ate." I know," says Tricker. "The ridges raw and the hills bare. I heard all that too. And now I'm gonna eat." Whoop. "You're gonna eat me up. I know, groans Tricker. "But first, I'm gonna run, right?" "And I'm gonna run too," says the bear. "And then I'm gonna jump," says Tricker. "And I'm gonna jump too," says the bear. "And then I'm gonna drink some buttermilk," says Tricker. I'm gonna drink some buttermilk too," says the bear. "And then I'm gonna climb," says Tricker. "And I am gonna climb too," says the bear. "And then," says Tricker, smiling and winking, and plucking one of his longest whiskers, dainty as a riverboat gambler with a sleeve full of secrets. "I'm going to fly." This bamboozles the bear, and for a second he furrows his big brow, but everybody, even short-changed grizzly bears named Big Double, knows that red squirrels can't fly. Not even red squirrels called Tricker. "Well then," says the bear, grinning and winking and plucking on one of his own longest whiskers with a big clumsy claw, "when you fly, I'll fly too." "We'll see about that," says Tricker, and without a word or a wink more, he reaches over to jerk the bear's whisker clean out. "Roar!" roars the bear, and he makes a nab, but Tricker is out the hole and streaking down the tree trunk like a bolt of greased lightning, with the bear thundering right behind him, meaner and madder than ever. Tricker streaks across the bottom towards Topple Farm, with the bear storming right on his tail. He reaches the milk house where Farmer Topple cools his dairy products. He cools his dairy products. He jumps right through the window. The bear jumps right through after him. Tricker hops up on the edge of a gallon crock and begins to guzzle up the cool, thick buttermilk like he hadn't had a sip of liquid for a month. The bear knocks him aside and picks up the whole crock and sucks it down like he was a 7-year drought. Tricker then hops up to the rim of the 5-gallon crock and starts to lap up the buttermilk. But the bear knocks him aside again and hefts the crock and drinks it down. Tricker doesn't even bother hopping to the brim of the last crock, a 10-galloner. He just stands back dodging the drops while the bear heaves the vessel high, tips it up, and gradually guzzles it empty. The bear finally plunks down the last crock and wipes his chops, and he roars, "I am Big Double, and I ate the high heels." I know, says Tricker, wincing. "Let's skip the roaring and get right on to the last part, okay? After I run, and I jump, and I drink buttermilk, and then I climb. And I climb too," says the bear, belching. "And I fly," says Tricker. "And I fly too," says the bear, hiccuping. So back out of the milk house jumps Tricker, and off he goes, dusting back towards the cottonwood like a baby dust devil, with the bear huffing right at his heels like a full-blown tornado. And up the tree he scorches like a house afire, with the bear right on his tail like a volcano. Higher and higher climbs Tricker, with the bear's hot breath huffing hotter and hotter and closer and higher, till there's barely any tree left, and then out into the fine fall air Tricker springs like a little red leaf light on the wind. And before the bear thinks better of it, out he springs himself like a 10-ton milk tanker over the edge of a cliff. "I forgot to mention," Tricker sings out as he grabs a leafy top on the first sun-touched hazelnut tree and hangs there swinging and saying, "I can also trick." "Ah!" his pursuer answers, plummeting past all the way till he splatters on the hillside like a thumping ripe melon. When the dust and debris clear back, Sally snips or wriggles out from the wrecked remains and says, "I'm out!" And then Longrullers the rabbit jumps up and says, "I'm out!" And then Charlie Charles the woodchuck pops up and says, "I'm out!" "I," says Tricker, swinging high in the sunny branches where the hazelnuts are just about perfect, "was never in to get out." And everybody laughed, and the birds woke up and commenced to sing, and the hazelnuts got more and more perfect, and the buttermilk just rolled down the hill. The end. Well, I hope you enjoyed that book today, friends. Now, today I was thinking maybe I could share with you a fun story game that you could do at home with your brothers and sisters and your mums and dads and your grandmas and grandmas, whoever you live with at home. I know some of us have all live with different people. So, all you have to do is find one other person at your home or more. You can do this with 4 people or 5 people. You could do this with as many people as you wanted. But you can also just do it with yourself, and you can do it with another person, like your brother or sister. And all you need is some colored pencil crayons, or a pencil, or a marker. You can use whatever you'd like. And you need some small slips of paper, as many as you'd like. And all you have to do So the idea of this story game is, and I have an example here of an actual game that was bought in a store. And you can see there's a bunch of pictures. There's all sorts of little pictures here of all sorts of items. There's a ring, a toilet, money. There's a desert scene and a motorcycle and a city scene or a castle. All sorts of things. So boys and girls, using your imagination, maybe you can, for the first couple times that you start, you can start with maybe 3 papers. And on each one of these pieces of paper, you can draw something. You can draw a person. There's my person. There's my person. You can draw, let's see here. I think I'm going to draw a heart. You can draw anything you want. You can draw cars, bottles, books, balls, toys, coloring utensils. Did I say books? You could do painting, knitting needles, anything in the world that you can think of to draw, you can do. So I have my person. Oh, and I wrote a heart. And then I think I'm going to draw a picture that represents my friends. And then I think I'm going to draw, I think this one person here, I think I'm going to pretend that this is me. Okay. And so, boys and girls, once you've drawn your pictures of the things that you'd like to maybe tell a story about, you can then start. So each person can take one of the cards and they look at the picture and they think, this is me. So mine says it's a picture of me, a pretend picture of me. So that's mine. So I'm going to start my story and I'm going to use words, including myself. I can use my name. I'm going to use words to put this picture into a sentence. So let's see. This is me. So Jen really, really, really loves her friends. Do you see how I did that, boys and girls? And here, I will try another one. Let's use a funny one. Here's the toilet. Once upon a time, there was a toilet. And this toilet was found in a haunted house. And the haunted house had a witch in it too, who guarded the magic toilet. Well, one day, a dog was walking by the haunted house. And he thought, boy, I really got to go to the bathroom. I wonder if maybe I can knock on the door to see if I could use their toilet. So he knocked on the door and, a fortune teller answered. And then the dog said, hello, I really, really, really need to go to the washroom and use a toilet. And the fortune teller thought, well, I just don't know. I just don't know if we should let a stranger dog come and use our toilet. And the stranger dog said, well, I promise I'll be nice. And I promise I'll be respectful. And I'll leave as soon as I'm done going to the washroom. And the fortune teller said, okay, but just be worried about the witch that lives in this house too. She guards the toilet. And that is an example of how you can tell a story using some of the story cards. Now, I didn't finish that story, but maybe you could finish that story at home with your family and friends. And Jen, I think that next week we'll do a little story. Maybe I'll draw 5 pictures on 5 of my little pieces of white paper, and I'll see if I can come up with a story to tell you using just these pictures. Okay? It was really nice to read to you and talk to you and show you a fun game today, friends. I really miss each and every one of you, and I can't wait to see you all again so soon. I love you all. See you later, alligators. Bye-bye, butterflies. After a while, crocodiles. And what's the last one? Remember, friends? See you soon, you big baboon. I love you. Bye.